Welcome to the Airgun Show. This week we've got Super Slick Springer, the Air Arms Pro Sport on test. But before that, I've got greedy squirrels and rats in the crosshairs. We're targeting squirrels around pheasant feeders today. Now, although the pheasant shooting season's over, it can actually be even more productive at this time of year. On this particular shoot, they've gone down from having several dozen pheasant feeders down to just 5 or 6, and that makes them much more of a magnet, particularly at this time of year when natural food is still quite thin on the ground. All being well, we could catch up with squirrels here and possibly 1 or 2 rats as well. Now, I've already bagged a few from this feeder this week, so we're going to head across, see if we can find another one and hopefully catch a few there. Right, there's a feeder just out on the woodland edge here that looks well worth targeting. Because of the trees, I'm sure it could yield 1 or 2 squirrels, but also this bank's full of rat holes, so we may even get a chance at them too. To target it clearly, I'm going to have to target it from the field side rather than in the woods. Now, that's not going to give me as much cover as I'd have liked, so I'm going to have to put a hide up. I've got a net with me, but I haven't got any poles, but just down the release pen, I've got a couple of cut sticks that I've used in the past for just that job.
And sure enough, my sticks are just where I'd left them last time, so I don't have to create any more disturbance by cutting new props for my hide net. Situated right on the edge of the woods and close to that ratty looking bank, this feeder looks like it's worth targeting and could even yield a mixed bag. All I need to do is get myself into position. Thankfully, the ground here is nice and soft, so the sticks push in without too much difficulty, and I've soon got a frame in place for the hide. I then draped my camo net between the sticks, hooking it into slits I made in the top when I initially cut them. Improvising some rustic pegs, I snap another stick and pin the net down, under the watchful eye of a herd of cattle. The presence of livestock could work to my advantage, because it means that the woodland residents, including my quarry, will have become accustomed to a bit of movement and noise out in the field.
Well, I've just pinged the range quickly, and at just over 20 metres it is pretty close, particularly with the FAC rated airgun. However, with all of this scrubby cover, I can't push the hide any further back, and to be perfectly honest, I'd rather be taking confident shots at closer range than risky shots at long distance. It's not the most substantial hide, but going from past experience, the squirrels here tend to think that danger's past as soon as I slip back in behind the screen. One thing they don't tend to tolerate is dead bodies beneath the feeder, so if I do manage to bag 1 or 2 squirrels, I'm going to have to break cover and retrieve those just so they don't unsettle any others that might come out to feed.
So, I'm all set up and it's time to load the trusty Daystate Mark IV. There's nothing more I can do now except wait patiently and hope that those greedy rodents soon come out to gorge on the grain.
Right, we've already got a robin out now. Although these feeders are put out for pheasants, they also do a great job of helping to sustain songbirds through the difficult months, and also having that robin out there pecking around and maybe 1 or 2 pheasants later on should give squirrels the confidence to come out and convince them that the coast is clear.
And it's not long before the first squirrel ventures out. This one makes a cautious approach and seems to hesitate on its way to the feeder, but the temptation of the grain is just too great for it to resist.
That's the first one down. Unfortunately, it's settled right under the feeder, so I'm going to have to break cover and retrieve it.
The squirrels on this permission have seen a considerable amount of shooting pressure and tend to steer clear of feeders with dead bodies beneath them. Despite the disturbance caused by making a retrieve, keeping the area clear does tend to result in more squirrels coming to the feeder. As I settle back into my hide, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the ruse will work, and it won't be too long before more squirrels venture out. This pheasant certainly seems to think the coast is clear, and it's soon joined by a less welcome diner.
Goes to show how quickly they venture back out after me breaking cover, which had a pheasant and a squirrel there, and it was a bit of a shock for the pheasant. I was going to wait for the squirrel to move out under the feeder, because they'll usually chase the pheasants away, but that one was lingering, and in the end I thought I'd just take it while it was a good safe distance from the pheasant. It's another one that's settled under the feeder, so I have to go and clear it away again.
Another pellet goes into the day state in anticipation of the next opportunity, and it isn't long before another grey comes in to raid the grain. But just as I'm readying myself for the shot, something disturbs the bushy-tail's meal. A pushy rat has forced the squirrel to clear off.
Well, I was just lining up on a squirrel and a blinking great rat came out from the bank and chased it off. Unfortunately, the rat wasn't hanging around either. It's had a mouthful of grain and run off, but hopefully it'll be back again soon. Just missed another chance at that rat. I don't think it's spooked by us, I just think it's literally coming out, grabbing a few grains from under the feeder and then running back into cover. Because it's daylight, it's probably feeling very vulnerable to things like buzzards and foxes, but I reckon it's got a taste for it and I'm sure it'll be back out.
And sure enough, it soon creeps out for another munch. Only this time, it makes the mistake of lingering.
That's more like it. It hung around just long enough to give me a shot then, and I've managed to nail it. Means we've got another body under the feeder, so I'm going to have to head out again. I'm not going to pick this one up, I'm just going to flick it into the ditch and hope that makes it inconspicuous enough. Squirrel coming in. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the one that last rat saw off. I'm just hoping, just coming through the trees now, and I'm just hoping it doesn't see that rat's carcass and spook. That's another squirrel. That one's flopped back into the ditch, and as we're running out of time now, I'm going to leave it there and just hope that it doesn't spoil our chances.
As the afternoon wears on, I'm hoping for one more shot before it's time to head home. Another rat ventures out into the lengthening shadows. It's more confident than the first one, and I soon have it in my crosshairs.
Well, I really wasn't expecting to see this many rats by daylight. Certainly makes you wonder what we might see if we came back here with night vision, when there are presumably a lot more moving around after dark. Right, well, we've run out of time, so that really is going to have to be our lot for today, but 3 squirrels and 2 rats in a fairly short afternoon session, I'm really pleased with that, and it certainly goes to show just how effective it can be targeting these feeders, particularly when there are less of them on the go. And with nesting season just around the corner, and both squirrels and rats having a real taste for eggs, the gamekeeper is no doubt going to be really pleased too. The FAC rated Daystate taking no prisoners there. And now it's over to the Airgun Show news.
This is the Airgun Show news, brought to you by the Airgun Centre. Gun laws are in the spotlight. The Law Commission has identified at least 30 provisions in current laws that overlap or are inconsistent with others, and terms like antique, lethal and weapon are not properly defined, making the area around licensing these guns confusing. It will hold a 3-month consultation this summer and aim to publish a report in the spring of next year. Any changes to the law will then have to be debated and passed in Parliament before they come into effect. And there's more firearms news, this time regarding the changes in fees. From next month, FAC airgunners should expect to pay £88 for a certificate, up from £50, and a renewal will cost £62. The fee for a shotgun licence will go up to £79.50. Shooting organisations have welcomed the fee rises, saying they are proportionate and based on the principles of better regulation. A rare 40-bore airgun disguised as a flintlock sporting rifle cropped up at Holt's Auctioneers last week. Made by Ventslav around 1740, the gun had an estimate of between £5,000 and £7,000. Although described by Holt's valuer Robert Morgan as extremely rare and one of the most exciting airguns he had ever seen, the unusual piece failed to sell and is likely to make another appearance in June's auction. Range Right has announced a new multi-shot version of its award-winning Air Force One trophy range of CO2 pistols. The popular pistol picked up the gong for Best CO2 or Pneumatic Pistol in Airgun Shooter Magazine's 2014 Airgun of the Year Awards, and the new 9-shot magazine is sure to win it even more fans. The multi-shot version retails at just under the £200 mark, with additional magazines costing £20 each. A single-shot tray is also available. And finally, there's a chance to win a Vyrak HW101 pre-charged air rifle in the free-to-enter competition in the May issue of Airgun Shooter magazine, on sale now. The action-packed issue also includes an in-depth review of the Air Arms HFD 500, ammo tests, tips for shooting wood pigeon at the roost and night vision ratting, plus all the latest airgunning news and gear, and much, much more. That was the Airgun Show news.
We've got a serious spring-powered airgun on the test bench this week. The Air Arms Pro Sport is one of the best. It boasts fixed barrel accuracy, but without the usual underlever beneath that barrel. It's been around a while, but this airgun is by no means dated, and it's still an absolute leader when it comes to design and performance. The Pro Sport's dedicated right-hand stock really does fit like a glove, and the high comb of the rollover cheek piece gives brilliant scope alignment, and that's just as well because this airgun doesn't come fitted with open sights. It takes a set of tellies to take full advantage of the Pro Sport's potential accuracy. The chunky pistol grip and generous palm cutaway is very comfortable, and the long forend caters for a variety of different holds. There's a soft, ventilated butt pad, which is a nice touch, but it's by no means essential because this airgun has very little felt recoil. Not only does the stock provide a good fit, it also looks great. The walnut version on test is beautifully figured, and the rosewood cap on the pistol grip adds a further touch of class. The fleur-de-lis pattern on the checkering is a little bit ornate for my taste, but that laser cut checkering really is razor sharp and literally sticks to your hand. Typical of Air Arms, the finish of the metalwork is impossible to fault. The cylinder is machined with long dovetail grooves to accept scope mounts, and there are also 3 holes for a recoil arrestor pin. The mirror-like bluing is flawless, and engineering is also excellent throughout. The barrel is choked for improved accuracy, and the shroud contains baffling to help mute the muzzle blast. The most ingenious thing about this airgun is its cocking mechanism. Instead of a conventional underlever beneath the barrel, there's a recessed cocking lever within the belly of the stock. It sits absolutely flush with the woodwork and is so neatly engineered that you'd hardly even notice it was there. You push your fingers under the front end of the cocking lever, then pull it free so that you can draw down and cock the gun. And the process is very smooth because everything runs on synthetic bearings. The cocking stroke also engages the automatic safety catch and opens the loading bay. There's an anti-bear trap mechanism to keep fingers safe during loading, but that does mean that this airgun can't be decocked. Loading is a bit of a knack and would probably be easier if the opening extended right across the top of the cylinder. However, it does become second nature with practice, and if you do happen to drop the odd pellet in there, it'll fall out through the cutaway in the bottom, which means you don't have to fumble around for it. Once you've loaded up, simply return the lever and you're ready to shoot. The trigger is Air Arms' fully adjustable 2-stage CD unit. The blade looks pretty bling, but it also functions really well. It's wide front edge, giving really good finger contact. Straight from the box, this is one of the best trigger units I've ever had the pleasure of using. The first stage comes to a distinct stop, and then the second stage let-off is incredibly crisp and predictable. The positioning of the safety catch is also just right. So, that's the Pro Sport's important features covered. Now for the fun part, so let's have a go at some targets. Well, the Pro Sport really is an absolute pleasure to shoot. There's hardly any felt recoil, and the result of that is that in relatively breezy conditions, the 177 caliber test gun has knocked out a 5-shot group at 25 metres that's comfortably within 10 millimetres from centre to centre, and you can rest assured that that's as much down to the gun as it is down to me. This gun is no lightweight, weighing in at just over 4 kilos unscoped. But a bit of weight is no bad thing with a spring gun, helping to dampen down what little recoil there is. Balance is nigh on perfect, and measuring up at just a shade over a metre, it's also a fairly compact gun. To sum up, the Pro Sport isn't just a great looking airgun with a very clever cocking mechanism, it's also an absolute dream to shoot. Retailing at just over £500 for the beach stock, or $567 for the luxury walnut, it's certainly not a cheap airgun. However, when you consider its performance, plus the pride of ownership you're going to get, I still reckon it represents great value for money. That's all for this week, but we'll be back again in a fortnight. That's Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you aren't already a member of the BASC, have a look at their website and check out some of the benefits they're offering through Airgun membership.